On the eighth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
Foodie things, lifey things, and movie things, as in things to do with movement. Notice I say movement, not exercise. And I've got 4 or 5 tips in each one of those areas, all of which work. You will not want to do all of those. Hi Jill, you will not want to do all of those tips. You'll probably take 1 or 2 because otherwise you'd be constantly worrying about how many tips you've got to do. But it may be that 1 or 2 things will resonate with you. So I'm going to start first of all with the move things because, morning Joe, nice to see you. The move things, if we move more, not exercise more, we automatically feel better. It automatically reduces your frazzleness. But I'll tell you something that happened to me when I was away last week. For the first part of my holiday, I was going to classes. It was a fitness holiday. And then for 2 nights we were somewhere else and I thought, well, I'll do some stretching. What should I stretch? What should I stretch? Yeah, how should I stretch? And I thought, actually, that's the problem with a lot of us. We want to move, we want to stretch, we want to do something, but we don't know what to do. So having somebody that you're accountable to or having something specific you can follow is a really good idea. So here are some movement tips. And if you come in late, just join me, write some notes if you want to, just join me and jot some things down. And then obviously this will record and you can go back later. So the first movement tip can be done in any version, any way you want at all. But for the next 10 days, maybe, do something that makes you puff, gets you out of breath every day for 5 minutes. Just get that in quickly, 5 minutes. You don't need to be puffing very long, but it's inevitable we're all going to be eating more. Christmas is about more food. Nobody wants to go on a diet at Christmas and nobody should be going on a diet after Christmas, but you can tweak the dial a little bit just by putting a bit more cardio movement into your day. It gives you the endorphins. So for me, that's generally upping the ante on a dog walk. If you're somebody who has a static bike at home, you could jump on it. I've got a rowing machine down in the studio, which I don't really like, but 5 minutes on the rowing machine, that's something I wasn't doing before, so it's adding a little bit more movement. So there's one tip. The second tip is a really important one, and it doesn't matter how you do this. Get outside before 2 o'clock for 20 minutes. You can sit in your garden with a cup of tea and a nice blanket around you. You can go for a dog walk. Most of us have got dogs that I end up talking to. Anything that gets you out for 20 minutes before 2 o'clock is going to be beneficial because we want to get as much light into your eyes as possible. Today, I think, is the shortest day. So from tomorrow, it starts getting a bit better. But don't we all notice that when we don't have enough light in our eyes, that we feel kind of grey? So that's my second tip. The third tip is almost the diametrically opposite. Go outside for a walk for 10 or 15 minutes once the lights are on in people's gardens and in people's houses. Where I live, I can do a 15-minute circuit. And Christmas is more, obviously, than just food, but it's a lot about sparkle and tinsel, isn't it? And people go to a lot of effort to put lights up outside their house. And sometimes we're rushing around. We don't actually take the time to say, gosh, they're beautiful. Where I live, there's lots of Victorian houses. And during the winter, when the lights are on inside and it's dark outside, you can see all the Victorian stained glass windows. Take pleasure in the really simple things, particularly if we're locked down. Meet a friend at 5 o'clock and go for a dark walk and enjoy the twinkle and the sparkle of the lights that people have bothered to put up. Okay, here's one that's a little bit more exercisey, but again, it's nice to have something to do. 5 squats, 5 press-ups of any description, easy, hard, doesn't matter. 5 squats, 5 press-ups, and 5 curtsy lunges. That will work your core, your arms, your quads, and your glutes, the big areas of your body that you want to keep having some muscle. So 5, 5, and 5, it'll take you, 8 minutes, something like that. But if you do that every other day over this Christmas period, that will be hugely beneficial. And then the last of my movement tips is one for those of you who like to work a bit harder, those of you who are prepared to push it a little bit. I'm probably not done with a dog. And it is a tip that I've talked about before in this group, but write it down if you're going to try and do it because you don't want to overdo this. You set a timer for 60 seconds. You jog, run, walk, spin, whatever it is that gets you working hard for 60 seconds. 60 seconds is quite a long time. Then you rest or walk for 30 seconds and then you do it again another 7 times. So it's 8 lots of 60 seconds with a 30-second recovery. You can do it up and down a garden. You can do it outside your house, up and down the road. You don't need very much space, but in 20 minutes time, you will have come in and you will have thought, flipping heck, that was hard. But it's a really good, beneficial little workout. In fact, I might do it on the rower. I tried to avoid the rower, but I might try it on there as well. So you may have a rowing machine. Okay, there's my movement tips. Now I'm going to move over to my food tips. And as I say, you must promise not to tell any of these because most of the family don't know anything about these. They're kept well under wraps. So first of all, frozen parsnips. Hardly anybody knows any difference between you peeling a parsnip at Christmas and getting frozen ones, putting a teaspoon of grainy mustard and a dollop of honey on them. Instantly, they look like you've peeled them. Who cares if your parsnips are fresh or frozen? You might care a little bit more about your tatties, but parsnips, they're just another thing on the plate. Gravy. Another secret. I roast my turkey in a big foil tin, often upside down, and I put a pint of either water or stock or a bottle of wine in it. When I've roasted my turkey and it's going to rest for an hour or whatever it is with a tea towel over it or a duvet, I drain that stock off, I mix it with some of the carrot or swede water that I've cooked my vegetables in, and I use turkey gravy granules. Who really wants to be doing flour in a figure of eight in a great big baking tin or roasting your chicken wings the night before a la Jamie Oliver, unless you've got time? But we're looking for ways to frazzle free your Christmas. Turkey gravy granules are amazing and nobody really cares, particularly if you've got all that lovely juice in. And this is my really most guilty cheat of all. I know, Jill, you're in Germany, so you may have to look for the same thing. In the major supermarkets, you can buy square paper or foil packets of bread sauce mix. You can buy them for all sorts of things, but you can buy them for bread sauce. I buy 5 of them. The family eat loads of bread sauce, can't stand it myself, but they eat it and they have it cold in sandwiches later on. I buy 5 packets of bread sauce mix. I open them all up and obviously put them in a great big pan, add the right amount of milk, and then I grate in, or I put it in the NutriBullet actually, 2 slices of sourdough bread, so that gives it a texture that's homemade, and some nutmeg that I grate myself, and I cook it up, and nobody ever knows. Nobody's ever commented. Big foodie family, they all love bread sauce, and it takes about 8 minutes, rather than doing the whole great big bread sauce thing. That's a little tip, but as I say, don't tell anybody. Brussels sprouts, stir fry some chestnuts and some garlic or bacon into them if you're not vegetarian. Is a really good way of doing your Brussels sprouts so they're not dead and soggy on the edge of your plate. Brussels sprouts, really good for us, really healthy, lots of fibre, lots of antioxidants, bung some stuff in them to make them better. So there we are, we've done movement, we've done food. Okay, here's my home tips that I've started already this week. I sat down 2 nights ago and I wrote a food plan for what we are eating because the family descends in dribs and drabs because most of them have had COVID. The food plan for the next actually 8 days. And it's amazing how calm that makes your tummy feel. I'm not posh food, but I've just written it down. So it can be really helpful not to make a plan just for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day or whatever, but to write down everything you're eating this week. One of the things we do is that the kids all choose a vegetable that they have with our big Christmas meal. And actually, because they're all coming, they will do that vegetable. So I've got the stuff in fact, the delivery's just arrived, and I will get them to make that vegetable. That means we have a lovely wide variety of vegetables, and I'm not doing them all. Paper napkins. Yes, you can go ironing all that lovely white linen, and then somebody will have a glass of red wine and they'll wipe their mouth or the tomato or whatever it is, and then you've got white linen napkins you've got to bleach at the end of the holidays, and you've got to iron them all and put them all away. This time of year when we're trying to frazzle free, paper napkins, buy some pretty ones, who cares? And the last home one is buy yourself a big bag of Epsom salts. I think the last delivery day to day is on Amazon. Buy a big bag of Epsom salts. It's cheaper than buying the small bags. And you can, if you need an emergency present, package up 1 pint's worth into a plastic bag with a ribbon on it, with a tag, and give it to somebody with a few drops of aromatherapy oil if you've got a present missing. But more importantly, take a pint of Epsom salts, bung them in the bath yourself, and treat yourself to an Epsom salt bath. Okay, and that leads us nicely onto the sort of lifestyle frazzle-free tips that I'd like to share. So I've done a lot of tips, and now we come on to the ones that are actually really important. Can you find time every day or every other day, all over this Christmas period, for 5 minutes silence alone? I don't mean without birdsong or without listening to children playing some far away because you're out on a walk, but 5 minutes silence on your own. It's really interesting how that just calms your sensory nervous system and just reduces the frazzle. It may not last very long, but it's a tip that's useful to use. My second lifestyle tip is to choose one stretch and do it every single day over the next 10 days. So maybe your hamstrings are tight, maybe your shoulders are tight, maybe your neck's tight, whatever area it is that's tight, think about just that area, and every day spend a bit of time just thinking, I'm just going to, got the wrong hand in mine, I'm just going to work on that stretch, rather than thinking, oh, I need to stretch, I need to do this. Just give yourself some time. My third lifestyle tip, and maybe you do this all of the time, I have to sort of remember to do it, and when I do it, I think, I'm very old and I really like it. Put classic FM on, or put on a Spotify playlist with classical music. Somebody told me last night that there's a Spotify playlist, I think it was Cooking to the Classics, can't remember, but classical music, even if you don't choose to listen to it all the time, is again, it's like Epsom salts on your skin. It's really calming and you can let it wash over you. And particularly if you're in the car, that might be something that helps for you. This one is something that I do every year. And those of us who are over 40, I think this is quite important. I ask the kids to do a Christmas playlist for us. And the Christmas playlist includes songs that they think we like, music that they like, and then some family favourites. It's always really interesting to ask the kids what music they think we like, because they know to a certain extent, but then beyond that they have no idea. So if they will choose a couple of songs and they add it to a Spotify playlist, and then by asking them to add music to us, it keeps us current, because I don't know about you, but when my kids are not here, I don't listen to anything new and current unless I happen upon it. I don't want to be an old git who doesn't know anything about what's going on. And so they introduce me to things that I either love or hate or whatever, and I think that's quite a good way of doing it. So a Christmas playlist that the family do, and then finally, lie on the floor, breathe in for 4 or 5 seconds, hold it for 4 or 5 seconds, and breathe out for 6 or 7 seconds, and do that 4 times. Just taking the time to do some deep breathing, again, calms your sensory nervous system. So there we go. We've had movement things, some food things, some home things, and some life things. But I want to leave you with the 3 things that I think we'll all agree, but we just need to be reminded, I need to remind myself, that are really important. We are surrounded by negative things at the moment, and so therefore we have to look for the positives. God willing, we'll be around next Christmas to either moan again about COVID or to experience Christmas in the way that we want to. And there are plenty of people who won't be. And I think it's really important to be grateful and thoughtful of the fact that Christmas is a time of year and we can make of it what we want, but we need to be so grateful that we are here to experience it. And I guess that leads on to the fact that people remember how you make them feel, not how beautiful the Christmas tree is, not whether your turkey gravy was mulled for 2 days before the big event, it just gets poured on the plate. People remember how you feel or how you make them feel, and you make them feel part of something when you're not frazzled. So I'm trying to help get not frazzled so that the rest of the family can enjoy it, which leads on to the third one, that I think we all know as we get older that the greatest gift of all is time. Time with the people we love, even if it's not in the way that we want it to be. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to see my parents this Christmas, but the greatest gift we can give people and to ourselves is time. So with that, I will leave you with a happy Christmas, a frazzle-free Christmas, I hope. Please share with me below which of those tips really resonated with you, which ones are an absolute yes and which ones are no way am I going to use turkey gravy granules or am I going to buy pre-done bread sauce. But yeah, I'll think about that. I'd love to know what resonated with you, and if you've got any really good tips that I haven't talked about, please share them because we all need them. But otherwise I will be back in here soon. I'm looking forward to starting the fitness classes again in January. Those of you who come, you already know how good it is. Those of you who don't yet, you soon will. Look forward to seeing you soon. Happy Christmas Eve. See you soon. Bye.